G'day everyone, Uncle Jojo, Warm, Jika, to another Rip Roaring episode. We are here today to have a look at how we go about adjusting a router or trimmer, handheld router, for hinges. Now, this question comes from Mikey. Thank you very much, Mikey. I really appreciate that. So, a couple of things. First, number one is the size of the hinge is going to be our first thing that we're going to be discussing. Different hinges come in different sizes. So, I've got a 70mm hinge that way, and it's about 1.5 millimeters thick. Here I've got a 100mm hinge, and this again is about 1.5 millimeters thick. This one here is a specialist hinge, if I can open it. So we've got a specialist hinge here, and this hinge you can see is actually thinner. This hinge is thinner than this hinge. So when we're looking at them together, the one on the left is actually 1.5 and this one here is 2.5 mil thick. So it's an extra millimeter thickness. So that's the first thing that we've got to be looking at, is the thickness of the leaf. This is a leaf of our hinge. So that's number one. Different hinges, different thicknesses. Number two, we've got to select our bit. So different bits, different depths. So here is two straight bits. One's a 16 and one's a 12. I've got another one here which is well it says 7 but it's more like a 17. So anyway, I've got a number of different straight bits. Here I've got a 16mm, here I've got a 12mm. What that refers to is the distance from edge of blade to edge of blade. Edge of blade to edge of blade. So that also plays a part in how we're going to use it in our trimmer. Now before I go ahead, once again, the trimmer has no battery in it. We've got a sleeve and a collar in here. We need to make sure that the collar and the sleeve suits the shaft of our router bit. The router bit slips in. One thing we want to do is we want to make sure that this collar has been tightened so this doesn't slip. We've got to push this button and we tighten this up. Oi, 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 don't wreck my shoe. Okay, so that's snib tight. That's where we want that, snib tight. Then, once we've got that, we can adjust this up so it's close to being flat with the edge of that, which is great. Then we click that down, that's good. Now, this gets wound back up into position. Open these two clips. That clicks onto the collar. We can now unclip this and adjust it slightly. So what we want to do is adjust this millimeter at a time, or half millimeter at a time, and you can see that this is now coming just through. So if I move that a lot, you can see that comes all the way down. So we only want to do a little bit. I'm looking across the base of that, and then I put my hinge against the tooth. You can see it's against the tooth there. That's what I want. Now I don't want it too deep. I'd rather it shallower than deeper. Remember the old saying, looking at it than looking for it. I can take a little bit more off. I can't add more on. So I want to make sure that that's a little bit more shallow than too much. All right, so that's perfect. Perfect. Next, I'll look at my collar. Now, many of these come in different shapes and sizes, and how we go about them is a huge thing. This one here, for example, this one here actually goes, here. So what we want to do is actually undo these. Don't, dog, no. No. You'll see that it's got a cupped head, and that goes with the cupped head of the screw. Cupped head of the screw, cupped head. So it sits flush. So that goes this way in, upside down. And this one goes in here, upside down. So now we know exactly that that is going to be fixed on. This is super easy, this adjuster to come up. And all it is just, you can do it up there and then it won't move. So we undo it, that slides up, and that's in position. Now, depending on our hinge, so if we've got our hinge here, remember, whenever we put it, sets up a hinge, we're looking at this line just here. So we want to come in from the edge of the knuckle. We don't want to push it up hard against this knuckle. We want to put it against that point. So we set this up like such. So this is exactly the same setup if we were doing it on a door. Then what we do, still, no battery. Again, exactly the same. We know that the depth is right. We push this as far over as we can so the edge of this blade, the furthest blade, is touching just before the line by about 2 mil. So we want it to be hitting there. We can always just chisel the last bit out by hand and get the perfect finish. So that comes in just slightly. We loosen that off just a little bit and we come in and we go to there. That then we tighten up and that is going to be perfect to that. So then when we start her up, we come in, across, and then we can just fill that out and trim that whole area out just for that hinge. Then we come past again with the chisel. And if you've watched my videos on chiseling out, you'll actually see there's 2 different ways to chisel out for hinges. One is by hand, the other one is with your trimmer and just cleaning it up. Thanks, Mikey, for your question. I hope that's helped you out, buddy. That is on the DeWalt cordless trimmer. There are a number of different types of trimmers. My Hitachi corded or electrical trimmer is almost identical to that. It's just a lot lighter of a system, so you can have a look. I've got a couple of reviews and comparisons of those. I do have a review coming out for this trimmer though. It is a great trimmer, so stay tuned for that. And if you've got any questions and queries about setting up for hinges or even for door pulls, for flush door pulls where you've got your finger grips, if you want to know about setting up maybe a jig for that and figuring out the depth of that, I can also make up a video just for you on that. Yes, I can. Thanks for watching, and like always everyone, stay unreal banana peels. I'll see you in the soup.